When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can build, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who can lead properly, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Vote for peace, vote for love, vote for hope, vote for change. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can restore hope, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who lead with love, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Vote for peace, vote for love, vote for hope, vote for change. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream.
Alrighty, hello. Hope everyone's having a good old time today. Today is Wednesday, the last day of April. Wednesday, the 30th of April, 2025. I hope you guys are all having a good day. If you're not, I am truly sorry to hear that. And I hope your day does get remarkably better. So we basically all know what has happened in the country already. It's no secret. And the people has voted for change. And a change is on its way, I would say. We had some updates basically between Monday and now, where the last updates we had, which was the stream we did while election was happening and the live votes was coming in, was these seats, there was Labre was still under, or rather, Labre PNM was still leading in Labre. And they have lost that seat. And then in points, even though the UNC had taken over the lead, it was still very small until around 1 a.m. yesterday morning, where the UNC pulled remarkably ahead in point Fortin. And now we have a map that looks remarkably different, I would have to say. Shamfa put up a respectable fight, I would have to say, in Tobago West. She put up a respectable fight, but in the end, it was nowhere near enough. And the PNM has conceded in Tobago West as well, so Tobago has gone all blue from the TPP. So I'd just like to talk about the TPP first, actually. And concerning this, it has been, I've learned a little bit more about the TPP, and they have done pretty good work in Tobago, which is the result of what you're seeing here now. They have listened to the people, and I would say they have managed Tobago better. So it makes sense that the TTP would have fully won in Tobago. Unfortunately, I would have loved where the EBC would have released voting figures, but they still haven't. I don't know why. Every other election, we had voting figures readily available, either on the day or the day after. But for each constituency, we just, I don't know what's happening, but we just haven't gotten voting figures as we normally used to. So I don't know if they'll release it anytime, but all we have to work with really is colored maps on their website, and we at least have an indication of who won and who ran. Okay, so for Tobago East, David Thomas of the TPP, he obviously took it. Ayana, in the end, she got like 3,500 votes. It wasn't even close in Tobago East, to be honest. It really wasn't even close. There was like no doubt. And then this is where the battle happened up until 3 a.m. yesterday, with Shamfa Kojo for the PNM and Joel Sampson for the TPP. He pulled ahead, and I think there is a 2,000 to 3,000 vote difference between the two. She put up a respectable fight, but after the dust has settled, Shamfa has lost that seat, which is like I said, Tobago has spoken, so you just gotta listen, right? There's some interesting stuff that has happened throughout Trinidad and Tobago that I must make mention of. So before we dive into this map here, I'd just like to show you all a certain things. So the UNC has decided, and they're well within their right. They are completely in their right to do this. Any political party can. The UNC has decided to challenge 3 seats throughout Trinidad for a recount. So we have entered an official recount for 3 seats in Trinidad. And if you look here, you would see exactly the seats that the UNC felt like we probably did win these seats here. Alright, so if you see right here, the UNC has contested the Aruka Lopino seat. I wish I could show you the stats of the votes, but Aruka Maloney was kind of close. And then they have contested Malabar Mauseka as well. The votes there was also very close. And then the UNC has contested San Fernando East, which was run by Brian Manning. And if you guys remember, during the night, that was a very, very close result. I think Brian pulled ahead by 1,000 or so votes. So the UNC has gone ahead and contested these 3 seats for a recount in hopes of further capture these seats. If I don't think these will go to the UNC. I think the counts are final, I think they were correct. But just saying, if these 3 seats do go to the UNC, that would make the UNC now encompassing 30 seats, which is unprecedented. But they already have the majority, where bills would be passed easier. They would not have a great fight back from the opposition. Actually, they don't have no fight back from the opposition. They are free to pass laws and bills because they have, the majority in the House currently. But it's just bringing to you what they're doing. They're contesting, once again, the UNC are contesting the Aruca-Lopino seat. They are contesting the Malaba-Mausica seat. And they are contesting the San Fernando East seat. So those are, and once again, they are well within their right to contest these 3 seats. PNM are also in their right to contest any seat that they felt, needs a recount. But they haven't. They have conceded defeat, as you guys already know. So that's that. So wanted to bring that bit of information to you. So now we go on to this map. And as you can see, this is not something that you typically see on an election map for Trinidad and Tobago, right? I made mention 2 days ago during the live results and live pollings where we are accustomed to PNM holding a stronghold from the east to the west. The entire east-west corridor normally in the past has gone to the PNM. And very, very correct, Mama. Very correct in chat there. They do have the 3/4 majority. So we are accustomed to the red wall, as I've said previously. And this year, something remarkably different has happened. Very, very remarkably different. UNC has managed to chip in to PNM strongholds. And they didn't even need this, to be honest. But it really helped to push them where they are now. So let's kind of look. I just wanna touch a little bit deeper than I did on election night with what happened. So the Toco-Sangre Grande area is a known PNM stronghold, and Roger Monroe, he did campaign feverishly. However, the people of Toco-Sangre Grande, I will tell you exactly what happened in this seat here. The Toco-Sangre Grande seat were fed up of certain things not being done. One of the main issues that people from Toco-Sangre Grande brought up was that, listen, we have been begging for roads to be fixed here. If anybody in this chat has traveled on the Toco-Sangre Grande road, large sections of the road through that constituency are okay, but there are some places that are really bad and has been bad for 5-10 years, even longer. And some roads just have never been fixed in this constituency, especially leading all the way into Toco and Grand River. There's still roads that has been neglected, and the people of Toco-Sangre Grande has said this feverishly over the decades. Yo, fix these roads, please. We need them fixed. It has gone mostly unheard. Some roads have been fixed, some roads are still bad. The second thing the people of Toco-Sangre Grande has brought forward was, listen, we are experiencing a lot of crime up here. And all of a sudden, Toco-Sangre Grande became a hotspot within the last 5 years, I would say. There were always troublesome people and troublesome things happening there in Toco-Sangre Grande before. But within 5 years, 5 to 6 years, it has miraculously transitioned into a known hotspot where a lot of the nation's double and triple killings have happened actually in the Sangre Grande region. That is not an unknown thing, that is a fact. There has been a lot of crime in there, and the people of Toco-Sangre Grande has expressed their concerns about the rise in crime in their community, which they have not experienced before. And unfortunately, crime has not been curbed there. It has not been curbed anywhere, as a matter of fact, but especially there, it has not been treated well. The solve rate or the detection rate of our crime has been notoriously poor, and it was just all wrong bad. They felt hopeless and they voted for change. This is the issues of what happened with Toco-Sangre Grande. A third and final instrument in the nail of the coffin for the PNM is some people in Toco-Sangre Grande also had no water for extended periods of time. Okay, this was also brought forward to the government, even though the government is not the sole supplier of water in Trinidad. You know, they went to the MP and stuff. There's large amounts of communities along Toco-Sangre Grande that receives intermittent water. This is also a known thing up there, and a lot of people haven't had a steady flow of water up there. And this all led to them being fed up. So these are three factors that I'm going to say really spearheaded change in the Toco-Sangre Grande area. And I am not surprised that Toco-Sangre Grande fell. This is a seat that I am not surprised fell. Okay, so these are one of the seats that I wanted to touch on that went yellow. Okay, so that's what happened, in case anybody was wondering, for Toco-Sangre Grande. The next place I would like to touch on is the Tunapuna area. Sorry. Now, to pinpoint issues in Tunapuna is difficult a little bit. They don't have any more or less problems than the rest of the country. It is known that Tunapuna is a swing seat. This is something that's notoriously known. And any party that has won Tunapuna in the past haven't won by any outlandish amount of votes. But again, Tunapuna was experiencing certain issues. Their main issues was rising crime, especially along the train line. Some of you may not know where that resides. Some of you may be up to date with the train line issues. A lot of killings, double murders, reprisal killings, gang activity has been happening along the train line community in this constituency. And it has been bad. It has been bad. Okay, the people of Tunapuna has spoke up about it. They have spoke up. It's very hard to combat gang and criminal activities. I'm going to tell you that. It's notoriously difficult to put a cap on criminal and gang activities. And that is what has been happening in the constituency of Tunapuna. They have been dealing with a lot of reprisal killings from people in the train line up into Tunapuna, Mingo Road, places like that. So their main thing, I would say, was crime. I have not heard any reports of really roads or housing in Tunapuna. Don't quote me on that. But this seat going to the UNC is not surprising to me. This is a swing seat, and they vote based on what's happening in their constituency. They are not afraid to show you, listen, if we don't find you're not doing the job, you're going. They are a very serious constituency in Tunapuna, right? And they had issues with the PNM, they're going. Simple as that. That's the most I could speak on Tunapuna. What I would like to touch on again is Mr. Roger Alexander is the person that has won the Tunapuna seat. And I have slight concerns. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope that Mr. Roger Alexander serves the Tunapuna people properly. He wisens up. He drops his dramatic ways. And he really digs deep. Because if he does not dig deep, he's going to go next election. It's simple. Okay? He already has put out plans there in the public eye about what he plans to do for the Tunapuna community. Now, I'm going to touch on that a little bit and move on. He has already stated he wants the crime in Tunapuna to go down. That's all well and good. The proposed method of him saying what he wants, however, I have a slight issue with it. I personally don't think it's feasible. Mr. Roger Alexander came, he spoke on a platform and he said, I want to curb crime and this is what I'm going to do. This is his words. I am going to have gated communities up here. I am going to put security cameras I am going to make it safer for the public. That is what Mr. Roger Alexander said. His direct words, you could go up, search for it. That is what he said. Okay? To me, that is not a solution for crime. That is not going to stop crime. For the main issue of Mr. Roger Alexander has held massive positions in the country. He knows what goes on in the country. And he should know that there's thousands of videos every year in Trinidad being released on news stations and Facebook news pages where you see criminals jumping walls like nothing. They're watching the camera with their own two eyes, wearing these masks that cover the head and cover the face, and they're still going and perform their banditry activities in people's house. So for me, this is not a solution. This is not a proper solution. I hope he has something more serious to address crime, but from what I've heard so far, I have limited faith in Mr. Roger Alexander serving the community of Tunapuna, but I would like to be proven wrong. But so far, I personally think he may fall short, but hey, we are here to see. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now. But so far, it's been very weak pointers being thrown out there. Where else do I want to touch on? So we are going to we're going to one of the most notorious unforeseen switches that took place. So the Horquetta-Talparo era the Horquetta-Talparo era was feverishly campaigned by the PNM. They had high hopes. They were super confident about retaining this Horquetta-Talparo seat. This is one of the seats that stabbed the PNM in the back. And I would like to go through exactly what went on with this Horquetta-Talparo seat. So, as we could see, Mr. Philip Watts won from the UNC, right? This is what has been the downfall. I'm not going to go into very much detail because that's putting scandal out there into the public. Even though I'm a YouTube channel, not a news channel, this is still putting, it's going to be hearsay. But a lot of people know this has been happening. A lot of people could confirm, but like I said, I'm not going to go deep into it, but the people in Horquetta-Talparo has had a serious problem with Mr. Foster comments. And this is what happened. A lot of people did not like Mr. Foster Cummins' arrogance. That was one of the main people that people in Horquetta-Talparo, that's one of the main issues they had. He was arrogant, he was bullyish, he was too full of himself. That is claims that has been made, and people didn't like that he come off like that. A second, which is probably the main thing about Mr. Foster Cummins, is that he is in a position to help people. And Mr. Foster Cummins did help people. However, he this is what happened with him. He did help people, but he did neglect a lot of Horquetta-Talparo, especially the rural areas of Horquetta-Talparo. There are a lot of people in those rural areas that has never seen Mr. Foster Cummins a day of his life or a day of their lives. There are a lot of people in rural areas who has not been helped ever. There are a lot of people who don't even know what his plan was in the Horquetta-Talparo area. Okay? And then there's a second side of Mr. Foster Cummins that has come to light, where the people he has put in positions, there's a bit of controversy that, favors has been exchanged. And that's as deep as I would go on that, because if I was to go any deeper, it would be hearsay, it would be pointing fingers, it would be putting stuff out there. But I'm just going to say a lot of people have confirmed that he has exchanged favors with putting people in positions. That has been a known thing. And that is what he has done. So that combined with his arrogance his big chestedness has been his downfall in the Horquetta-Talparo area, and that is why he lost the seat to Mr. Philip Watts of the Horquetta-Talparo area. That is basically the downfall there. That is the juice there. Now, let's go to the San Fernando West area. This was a seat that has been held by the PNM forever. This is a known stronghold, the San Fernando West seat. And this seat fallen was a bit of a surprise. I won't lie to you. But this seat further accentuates how people was fed up. This right here. I had assumed that people would have just continued voting because San Fernando is a known stronghold of the PNM. And they would have ignored everything that's been going on. So let's get into the downfall of San Fernando West and Faris now. Mr. Faris Alwawi has lost to Mr. Michael, and this is the reason why Faris has lost this seat. There are people I have spoken to from San Fernando West that has explicitly said Faris has not cared about Sando West at all. Faris has not been present as an MP for Sando West. He has only decided to do things either close to the election or not at all. There are a lot of people who said Faris has done very limited. They said Faris has done stuff at the very start, but he has just fallen off the face of the map in that constituency. Some people said they have not seen Faris at all. Some people said Faris is barely in office. Some people don't know where Faris is. So it is said that Faris has done really terrible work in the San Fernando West area, and that is why that seat fell to the UNC this year. So Faris, basically, it all chalks up to he was not doing a good job. That is what I heard. And that is what a lot of people reiterated. Even PNM people that has been staunch PNM for many, many years in the Sando West area, they have said, yo, Faris just is not cutting it anymore. And the people of Sando West has voted for change, and change has come. These are one of the strongholds that has fallen this year, and that is that. Coincidentally, I'll bring up an interesting piece of Sando East. So Sando East has been campaigned by Mr. Brian Manning. And even though he won his seat, even though Mr. Brian Manning has won his seat, famously known as the son of the late great Patrick Manning, the people of Sando East have been perplexed about how did he win. They're confused. A lot of people in the Sando East have said Brian Manning has been even less present than Faris Alwari. A lot of people have said Brian Manning has not been a strong leader, has not been a strong candidate, and has not been present. So a lot of people seem confused in that constituency that has not fell to the UNC. I, unfortunately, have not followed Mr. Brian Manning's campaign trail and what he's done for that constituency too in there. I have not. But the little that I have seen, I think he could have done much, much better for his constituency. But, and this is one of the areas that the UNC has launched a recounting because of how close this was. It seems that Brian only edged Mr. John Michael Ali Bukas from the UNC. So that is that. Mr. Brian Manning, they're investigating those vote counts a little bit more. We are heading to Point Fortin. So Point Fortin is another one of those PNM seats that has been locked in for a number of years. And the people of Point Fortin were fed up of various things. One of the things is a steady supply of water as well. A lot of people have not received a steady supply of water in Point Fortin at all. And I would have to agree because I've been to Point Fortin several times, and some places do have an okay supply, but other places not really. And then there are some of the roads in the Point Fortin constituency that could use a little revamp. You know, there has been one really good initiative that has happened in Point Fortin that I have to admit. I cannot deny facts. It is one good initiative that came out of Point Fortin was the highway that the PNM constructed that significantly shortens the time from San Fernando to Point Fortin. Okay, that highway has done miracles for hundreds or thousands of people on the island. So that highway was a really good initiative. Unfortunately, a highway that cuts down traffic is not enough for a member of parliament to hold a seat or a government entity to hold a seat. Okay, so you have to understand there's many different factors that goes into you holding a seat out here. That was just simply not enough. And I would like to go over one more thing before we continue with the map. I want to show you guys the turnout because all figures are important out here. All figures are important. So I want you, this was released. We're not about hearsay on this channel. We speaking facts. We're trying to get stuff as correct as possible. So this is a main thing with this election, right? I want you guys to read this third paragraph here and see what was really going on. Okay? Let me show you guys a little bit more. Alright, so if you guys read this third paragraph, right? A voter turnout was recorded at approximately 54%. 54%. Now let me put this in perspective for those of you who don't exactly understand what this figure means, right? Just in case nobody understands what 54% means. A voter turnout of 54% is poor. It is poor. This directly indicates that a lot of people simply did not vote. And that is poor. This is one of the lowest voter turnouts ever. A voter turnout of 54% is bad. It is simply bad. Just over half of eligible voters voting is a terrible stat. And that gives you a perspective of either people who were in the PNM were fed up, didn't want to vote UNC, so they stayed their ass home or went to work. That is one side of the story. People who were in the UNC knew that UNC were going to win their seat, so it didn't make sense, so they stayed their ass home. Now there's interchangeable issues. There are people who are just so fed up of the two parties, so they stayed their ass home. That is another thing. There are people who just didn't agree with both parties, or they're just fed up of voting on the whole, or people who just feel like voting makes no sense. They all make up that 46% of people who stay there. So this is a major stat that has been released. The voter turnout for this year's 2025 elections has been 54%. That is horrible. Okay, and I would like to show you one other thing where we have the popular vote. The popular vote, obviously, I don't need to show you the stat, but I like to be thorough. The popular vote obviously went to the UNC. Okay, as you could see here, the UNC has captured 334,874 votes in TNT. They have the popular vote, they have the majority of the seats. This coincides perfectly. That is how much people combined voted for the UNC this year. The PNM is there with 220,160 votes. And then we obviously have a lot of people who, a lot of smaller parties or independents on this list. Look, we have the PF. PF had 21,000 votes. Then we had the PEP. A lot of you remember these smaller parties. The PEP had 9,000 votes. The NTA 5,000. COP, the Congress of the People, they had 6,400 votes. And then you'd have smaller parties like the APP, CARM, stuff like that, you know. And then the TPP, which took over the entire of Tobago, they came in with 13,857 votes as well. And then we have a few independents here. And then this is the thing, guys. This is the thing. We always have this stat every year, every election, yeah? Look at this. The rejected ballots. Even though it's not that much, even though this is not that much, this would not affect the election, but still. 1,906 people's ballots has been rejected. Okay? So, there's always a stat for rejected ballots. For whatever reason, maybe they put the X next to the person they want to vote for and immediately folded the paper and smudged something. Maybe they place the X on the line in between two political candidates. There's a whole bunch of stuff that makes ballots ineligible. Or they just submitted a blank voter ballot. So we had, out of all of these counts, even though it doesn't really make sense in the grand scheme of changing things, still, these are 1,905 wasted votes for this election, for whatever reason. Right? So I just wanted to point that out for you guys as well. So as you could see, these are very, very, very low. Very, very low voter turnouts. I would send you back one more time to show you this page. So, and just think about it. Just think about it. Registered electorate of 1.1 million. Out of 1.1 million people, 650 something thousand people voted. Okay? So if you couldn't factor in 54% in your head, right? Let me just fill you with some knowledge. This means that damn near 400,000 people and more did not vote in this election. 400,000 missed out votes towards either political party were fed up for their various reasons and did not vote in this election. 400, 450, almost 500,000 people, that's a large number of people. Okay, so I hope that is put into perspective for you to tell you just how much people did not vote in this election. Normally, we do see figures of 750 to 800,000. We even got a turnout sometime of 900,000 people, but that was years back. We're accustomed averaging 700,000 people coming off elections. This time, no. Alright, so we're done with this. So just wanted to show you guys that. Yes, correct. Between 475 to 500 people. I'm glad you guys are getting it. That is how much people did not vote this election. Yes, the COP is still a party. They have combined. They have combined to assist or form with the UNC, but they are still a party. Yes. Hey, good evening, Teresa. Right. So let's see. Right. So this was one of the seats that I was telling you guys to watch the entire night. This was a swing seat, Barataria and St one, but if we're logically speaking here, Mr. Saddam Hussein crazy name, by the way, Mr. Saddam Hussein. Realistically speaking, that guy owned that. It was a close range. It was a close race. This is a swing seat as well. The UNC have done well to capture it. I would not count this as a surprise, but just more or less the people speaking in Barataria San Juan, to be fair. The Barataria San Juan region has been, within the last few years, they have seen an uptick in crime, especially on the highway side of Barataria. There has been some entities in that area, and they have dealt with an influx in crime there. Some bosses of some criminal organizations died there, went there to seek asylum, been run out, stuff like that. So they have dealt with their fair share of issues in the Barataria San Juan area. So the people of that constituency have spoken, and they have voted in the UNC. Not a surprise once again. Arangwell St. Joseph, not a surprise. It was contested wonderfully by Mr. Mirage. So this seat being won, plain and simple, I guess. St. Augustine seat previously has been in the past PNM, but St. Augustine and Tunapuna, both of them are more so UNC seats. It was fought, I would say Suklal fought the St. Augustine seat valiantly. But at the end of the day, Khadija Arming, the people in St. Augustine love her. So I don't really have anything to say about this. This is a cut and dry case of they voted for what they wanted. And I think that MP serves this era well. And it would have been a crime for this to go to the PNM. So St. Anne's, unlikely. So we almost got so these are the seats that were almost lost by the PNM. Okay, so this is one of the seats that I want to touch on. This is one of the seats I want to touch on. And more or less me breaking down all of this, you would hear a lot of the same things going on. So this seat here, Malabar Mausaka, right? PNM almost lost the seat, by the way. PNM almost lost the seat. And which is why it's being recounted. The candidate for this seat was Mr. Romain Dominic. He won, but he didn't win by much. Because Mr. Smith from the UNC almost pulled off an unlikely victory there. Though the people of Malabar Mausaka don't really have much issues with water or roadworks, they have dealt with their fair share of crime as well. But their main issue was representation. Their main issue was representation. They barely saw their representative. Barely. And you know what? This is a stronghold of the PNM, I would say. And it almost switched. Mr. Romain has to do really well to keep this seat next election, because I could tell you, Malabar Mausaka, it's a possibility it could go to the UNC next election if he does not buck up and do his work. Arima was contested heavily by Penelope Beckel. She won. She boasted. There was no doubt that Penelope was gonna get the seat again. There's no doubt ever. Not much to talk about there. Personally, being from this constituency, speaking my mind, Miss Penelope Beckles needs to buck up as well. Speaking my mind. Penelope has not been readily available there to the Arima community. It's very difficult to get onto her. You barely see her. Barely. I have seen Penelope a total of 2 times for election campaign and Border in Arima. Okay, so that is that coming out of Arima. There has been some initiatives in Arima proposed. There's been promises that has not been fulfilled. I could confidently say one of the strongest things that Arima constituency has going for it, or what was implemented, was a steady supply of water. Me, speaking from this constituency, I could say, unfortunately, for a lot of people in South Trinidad or Central, unlike those areas, the people of Arima, I can't complain. We do get a very, very steady supply of water. If water goes, it maybe goes once a week, maybe twice if we're in dry season, but water is not an issue. They have implemented Wi-Fi connection throughout the area of Arima this year. So if you go anywhere in the heart of Arima, you could connect to Wi-Fi. Now that may be important for some people, that may not be important for some people. I know a lot of people are gonna listen to me and be like, "You're radical. Who cares about Wi-Fi, bro?" And that's a fair point. If you're running a business, that's really good though, because and if you're like, you have your devices and stuff, there's readily available internet throughout Arima. That was a good initiative that they wanted to do. They have done it. Anywhere in Arima you go, well, not anywhere in Arima, but anywhere in the heart of Arima you go, you are connected to the Wi-Fi there. They have implemented that. The roadwork in Arima is fine for the most part. There's no real potholes or real big concern, at least in the inner city of Arima. Maybe leading out, like you're going to like further east, like Valencia and Grande, then you will get into. But the roadworks for the most part of Arima, it's fine. It's acceptable by standards. All right, so there has been 1 or 2 initiatives about implementing certain stuff in Arima. It has not happened, but the main reason for Penelope Becker's retaining her seat is because the people of Arima really haven't encountered too much, should I say, hardships of such. But it's like we don't really have any reason to switch, basically is what I'm saying, right? So Arima went flawlessly back to Penelope Beckles. And on the topic of Miss Penelope Beckles, remember I was speaking 2 nights ago about how I had anticipated after Mr. Patrick Manning left the PNM that I thought Miss Penelope Beckles would have been the leader, and I was shocked when she wasn't. Well, it came out. It came out today, and a lot of you may have known this already, but just in case some people still don't know, it is official, it's very official, that Miss Penelope Beckles is now, listen to me properly, you guys listening? Listening? Miss Penelope Beckles has been appointed the opposition leader, and the opposition is who? The PNM. That means she's the leader of the PNM. It is a long time coming, but I look forward to see what she does with the party. I look forward to see if she implements new, fresh ideas. I look forward to see what she does. I really do look forward, because I believe she should have been in the past. But let bygones be bygones. Can't change the past. She's the political leader now. So let's see, let me vibe and see what's gonna happen. I have high hopes, but me saying that does not mean anything. For all I know, Penelope could flop terribly and not be what the PNM needs. That could happen as well, right? You won 24 in Playway yesterday. This man, bro. This man. Okay, boss. But let's see. Just like how I was looking forward to see if Mr. Stuart Young could have ran this country, is how I'm looking forward to see how Miss Penelope Beckles would transform. I'm looking for transformation of the PNL. Unfortunately, I would really love to call out the number of votes for each constituency. But here's the thing, right? The EBC has not released, for whatever reason, they have stopped updating and they haven't released the number of votes for each constituency. So I do not have those numbers. I desperately waited a day to see if they would have put it up, and they still have not put it up for each constituency because I wanted to do a live today anyway to give you those numbers and show you just how some of these seats were close. But I don't have those numbers. All I have, unfortunately, is overall numbers of who came out and vote. That's all I have. I don't have exact numbers of the constituencies and stuff like that. Detailed results in a PDF. It came out 2 hours ago. Huh. Okay, let me if that is the case, if that is accurate information, let me all right, give me a second then. That'll be fantastic, so I could make this update even better for you guys. That'll be fantastic. All right, give me a second. Let me search this up right now. Yeah, none yesterday. I admit it was a little bit suspicious, but for whatever reason, they took off the count and nobody could see the actual figures. But whatever. Okay, so let's see. All right, so to make this go a little bit faster, those of you who said the list is out, can you direct me quickly exactly where it is? Where could I go? Yeah, but it's only 3 seats they're counting, Nicola, which wouldn't affect the election in any case. It really wouldn't. Oh, wait, 1 second. I'm gonna need to... For me to see a link from you, it deletes it if you're not a moderator. So let me make you a temporary moderator. Piperman. Alright, so if you have the link, send it again, Piperman. The link should send now. Alright, thank you very much, buddy. Blessings. Okay, it is a PDF. Damn. Okay. Cool. Oh wow. This is interesting. Okay. Well, this is fantastic. You guys are gonna get a nice update. So it's a bit small. But we're going through this. Make sure you could see it. It's a bit small. But we got this. Alright. So Alright, so I guess let me go through it constituency by constituency one time while we have it here. This is fantastic. I'm so happy. Okay. I'm so happy. No problem, Rosemary. No problem. I am glad. I am glad that I was able to bring comprehensive coverage of the election for you guys this year. All right, so let's start off. Woohoo! So around West St. Joseph, it would seem that the UNC captured 9,908 votes. They almost got 1,000, and the PNM came in with 6,672. I would say that is a closely fought election in my eyes. A closely fought election in my eyes, I would say that is. Arima. Oh my goodness. Whew. So I was unaware. that Arima was this close. And this is what I was saying about Penelope Becker. She only just held on. Look at me. I said that without even knowing numbers, guys. Without even knowing numbers, I said that. And look, you have the proof now. Penelope won 7,055 votes. And the UNC candidate got 6,356. Now, this, in terms of these figures, that is a close fought battle. That is close. Any way you look at it, it doesn't matter. That is a close fought battle. That is scary. So we could just about say Penelope could have or almost lost the seat. That is very close. Okay, so Aruka Lupino, this is one of the seats that they want to look at. And if you look at this, you could see why they're looking at Aruka Maloney. So the candidate for Aruka won 7,961 votes, and the UNC, they got 7,699 votes. You know what? This is why you cannot be angry when you ask for a recount, because this is very close. This is very close. Which means, once again, the PNM clinched the Aruka Maloney seat by a few hundred votes. That is very, very close. So, this is one of the recount constituencies, and you could see why. That is close by every stretch of the imagination. Barataria San Juan, which is a swing seat I have been seeing. I think I would call this comfortable, just being honest. I feel this is comfortable in my opinion. The candidates for the UNC won by 8,887 votes. The PNM candidate got 4,742. So I don't feel like that's close in my opinion. So I could call that a comfortable win. The UNC got that strong. That's not even. I'm not even gonna pretend. So it's a lot of that's a couple thousand votes you're ahead of your candidate. So we have Carney East, we have Carney Central. Let's do both of those one time. Not even close. These figures not even close. Both Carneys got 12,000, 13,000, and the PNM, as you could see, they have only mustered 4,000 and 2,000 votes in those areas, respectfully. Nothing surprising there. Nothing surprising there. That is correct. 14,000 people did not vote in the Aruka constituency, which is a known heavy PNM area. Wow. The turnouts for these okay, so the turnout for Aruka was 57%. The turnout for Arima is horrible. Oh my days. 49% of eligible voters in Arima turned out. Yes, these are final results, Frito. Oh boy, this is shocking. This is very shocking. Alright, so 1 second. Yeah. That is shocking. What area is this with 39% voter turnout? Laventille East Movant. Laventille East Movant had a voter turnout of 35.20%. Okay, wow. All right, let's search the Malabar Massacre area. That is one. Okay, so this is one of the areas that, let me highlight it. This is one of the areas that the UNC wanted a recount in, the Malabar Massacre area, and you could immediately see why. I feel like this is so very obvious to you. The PNM won the seat, 7,690 votes. And look at the UNC. The UNC candidate mustered 7,428 votes. That is ridiculous. That is a small matter of under 200 votes, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, I do not give the UNC candidate or the UNC party wrong for wanting a recount. Anytime you see votes that are a difference of 500 or less, you should call for a recount. It's within your duty to call for a recount. And this is why they wanted a recount, because this is very close in the grand scheme of things. So that is what happened. Wow, this is amazing. Wow. All right. This seat here is Labre. Labre is an area that we were watching for election day. Labre was an area we was watching for election day where it was red for most of the night, if you guys remember. And Labre switched over to the UNC wee hours in the morning. So this is what happened in the Labre area. This is what happened in the Labre area as well. So this is a close fought election as well. As you could see, the PNM candidate mustered 6,262 votes. The Member of Parliament for UNC won by 7,001 votes. This is a small matter of 800 odd votes. Actually less, 750, somewhere around there. So you winning by 750 votes, that's a close fought election. So this is what happened in Labre. It was a very, very close fought election down there. This is where it switched to yellow. Around like 4 a.m. it switched. So I would go straight to Tobago West. Tobago West was another area that we was watching, where Shamfa, I kept saying it over and over, Shamfa was fighting the battle of her life in Tobago West. Whew. So this is what happened. Woo! This is what happened in Tobago. This is what I was telling you guys to keep looking at. Look at this. The Member of Parliament for the TPP got 6,713 votes. It is tiny, I know. It's so sad. The Member of Parliament for the TPP, 6,713 votes. And Shamfa mustered 6,604 votes. That is a very close fought election. That is a very small margin of just over 100 votes. That's a very, very small matter of 100 votes right there. Oh, actually, I just realized I could zoom in on the PDF itself. I just realized that. So this was Tobago. Alright, so this was this was the battle of the lifetime that Shampa had to fight. As you could see again, Shampa fought. She fought all night. She just she couldn't make it. She couldn't make it. Let's see what happened in the Laventille areas, because as I showed you, both Laventille East and West, they had voter turnouts of 38% and 34%. They had the worst voter turnouts in all of Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, so I'm very interested to see what happened for the Laventille constituencies. I'm very interested. Okay, let's see. Alright, so Laventille East and Laventille West. Let's see what took place over here. Oh my goodness. So you could see what's reflected in the figures here. So wow, this is small. This top line here, this is Laventille Movant. As you could see, these numbers are quite small. 5,800 people voted for the PNM in Laventille, and 3,270 people voted for the UNC in Laventille Movant. Laventille West got 6,096 votes for the PNM and 2,291 votes for the UNC. These numbers are terrible, simply terrible in terms of voter turnout for this area. Normally, these numbers used to be in the 10,000s before for the PNM. So you could drastically see a lot of people, and you could draw conclusions. I'm not about bullshitting here. You could draw conclusions of what happened. There's a lot of PNM people. I'm being very specific and blunt and direct. This just tells me that a lot of people, PNM people, I'm being direct, PNM people did not come out and vote. They did not. And that could indicate that they're fed up. I'm being straight to the point. PNM voters directly, I am targeting that. PNM voters did not come out and vote. This is fairly obvious. I feel like this is very obvious based on these numbers here. So it's not a matter of people. You could chalk it up to people if you want to sound politically correct. By all means, you could go ahead. I'm just being real. PNM people did not come out and vote in this election. That is what... Who lost so badly? What era is this? Somebody lost really badly over here. Okay, this is Arima. Holy hell. I understand that Arima is a stronghold of the UNC, right? Like, I completely understand that. I completely get that. But do you see how badly this person, this representative for the PNM got licks? But these are normal, though. These are normal. Can't even say much. The member of parliament for Arima won 13,600 votes, and the PNM member only mustered 1,650 votes. That's to be expected. Can't say nothing much about that. Right. So this is one of the seats again. Remember last night we was watching Point Fortin. Members watching Point Fortin. And Point Fortin went to the UNC around 11-ish, so this is Caxton Bay West. I'll check it just out then. This is what happened in Point Fortin. Just to give you guys a perspective of how close this election was. Remember how late Point Fortin turned. The PNM candidate mustered 6,509 votes for Point Fortin. And the UNC candidate won by 7,293. Again, this is a matter of around 700 votes they're winning by. Just look at these margins that the UNC have won by. And this again further reiterates my point that I made 2 minutes ago. For the UNC to win by such small margins over a lot of seats that the PNM normally holds, if you were to use a little bit of brain cells and connect two neurons together, you could then conclude that a lot of PNM people did not come out and vote. Alright, so let's see what Claxton Bay is cooking up. How badly was Claxton Bay? Wait, did I have the right thing? Alright, this is Claxton. This is Claxton Bay here. Wait, what happened with Claxton Bay? I thought it was something dramatic. You lead me down a wrong path, man. It wasn't bad. But the one above it is horrible. And that is, what is that? That is Shogunus. Okay. Yeah, that's obvious. That's a UNC stronghold there. Okay, there's another seat that I wanted to show you guys. Right, there we go. The San Fernando seats, guys. Let me get into this. The San Fernando seats. Hey, Bego girl. Bego girl. So, are they ready for what went down in San Fernando? This is what happened in San Fernando. The shockers of... Whew, the shockers of the whole election. So, we go in. Sorry. Alright, let me take it from here. This is San Fernando East on top. So, San Fernando East, which is run by... San Fernando East, which is run by Brian Manning, again, the son of Patrick Manning. Brian Manning got 7,026 votes. The UNC got 6,357 votes. This is the third constituency that the UNC wanted to contest and had a recount. You could see why the UNC wants to recount. The UNC getting both San Fernando's would be a big thing for them. I ain't even gonna lie. You could ever hear in your lifetime that UNC capturing both San Fernando constituencies? No, you cannot. So they issued a recount for San Fernando East. This is Brian Manning's seat. This, you could term this as close. This is a small matter of 600 and, about 40 something votes. Odd. This right underneath that, this is San Fernando West. If you guys remember, San Fernando West was spearheaded by Mr. Faris Alwari. And Faris Alwari fell short and conceded the seat to the UNC for the first time. I don't know when last UNC won in San Fernando. If anybody has that information, cool. But me personally, I can't remember the last time UNC won in San Fernando. Mr. Faris Alwari mustered 6,636 votes. And the UNC candidate got 7,341 votes. Ending the spell of PNM stronghold in the San Fernando West area. So this is what happened with one of the San Fernando seats. The next thing in people in South and Central vote by race. I understand that, Rosemary. I would say that. I know that for a fact. There's a lot of people who vote for race on either end of the spectrum. Special voting needs attention. Voting for race is just pathetic. Agreed. Agreed. True, Bagel Girl, but the main thing is here, even though there was a bunch of fed up PNM people, the stats do indicate that a lot of PNM people did not vote. Most of the people who did not vote are PNM people. So the right thing to say is a lot of PNM people did not vote. So, okay, let's see what happened in Trinity Maloney. Yeah, that wasn't even close. That was not even close. That wasn't even close. All right, so let's go back to the map a little bit. I'm so happy that we got official figures. I'm so happy we got official figures. All right. So, listen. I term myself as a realist, right? I think I am a realist. And what I mean is this, right? People like to deny the obvious. I live in Trinidad and Tobago, just as some of you have. Even the ones that are watching my stream internationally, a lot of you also lived in Trinidad and Tobago, and you guys eloped, right? It's notorious that it's notoriously known. We're not pretending here on this channel. I always say that. It's notoriously known that Central and South Trinidad vote both based on race and performance. Okay? Okay? And it's not an ignorant statement to see the demographic of those areas. And these areas are UNC stronghold. These are obvious. These are not shocking things I'm saying out of my mouth. These are known things. If you want to pretend, be my guest. But I am not here to, cuddle your feelings. I'm being honest. These areas are notoriously known to harbor East Indian people. And UNC is a notoriously known East Indian party. The top half of Trinidad has been PNM for decades. These areas are notoriously known to be a PNM stronghold. They also vote on race, and the party they voted on is the PNM party, which notoriously in the past has been known to be more of a Negro type party. Again, these are nothing shocking. Don't gas. Don't think I'm ignorant. These are obvious things. It's obvious. I live here, you live here, you know what happens. This year, however, I would say people have still voted on race. People have still voted on race. However, there has been a difference. There's been a difference, and I have realized it. I have noticed it. So I went. If you guys don't know, I went to both PNM and UNC rallies, right? And that is one of the first places you could get a good how to say it, a good insight into what's going on and how people would swing. So I went to both political rallies, both UNC and PNM. And what I've seen is something that I personally have not really seen that much. Within the UNC rallies, I have seen more African Trinbagonians come into the UNC and support. That is something that I have not seen. It was shocking, but also refreshing. Refreshing in the fact that they could see people wanted a difference and they were fed up. When I went to PNM rallies, I also saw a bunch of East Indian Trinbagonians in the UNC political rallies. These are facts. And I'm like, whoa, interesting. Very interesting. Let's not stop there. The parties themselves, to expand even more, PNM, let's start with them. They have been known mostly to be Afro-Trinbagonian party. And they have expanded. They are no longer mostly predominantly Afro-Trinbagonians. They have East Indians as well in the PNM. You guys see, they have been a lot of representation now. It's now a mixed party. And coincidentally as well for the UNC, which was predominantly an East Indian party, they now have Afro-Trinbagonians in the UNC as well. So the both parties, I would say, their demographic has been mixed. And this year, I would say, even if people voted more, I still believe people still voted a lot on race. However, this year was different, where a lot of people voted on change. A lot of people voted on change. A lot of people was fed up. And especially in PNM strongholds, it was a combination of UNC supporters continually supporting their party, added on to the fact that PNM voters did not come out, added on to the fact that some PNM supporters were fed up and wanted change. I would count those three factors as to what has happened. Simply put. You were disappointed that the Patriotic Front did not get a seat? The only person, if we're being real and being true to ourselves, that could have even gotten a seat was Michaela Pandey, but I mean, it's a tough ask. It's a tough ask. Let's be real. You know what, self-improvement, boss? I feel I'm not willing to 100% agree with you, but I feel like I could still meet you 50% halfway. A little bit with what you just said. I feel like I could maybe 50% meet you. Because I some parts of me kind of agree a little bit, but then, you know. But that's an interesting thing you typed there. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yes, and Tobago will. This is what I. That's very interesting that you said that. Let's not forget. Let's not forget Tobago here, guys. Tobago, I touched on this last time, and I'll touch on it again. Tobago voted for change. Tobago were upset, and I'll say it again, going back to the last election, Tobago did not really want PNM to win in 2020. I don't know if some of you guys forgot to remember that, but Tobagoans did not really want PNM to win last election. And if you go back to the stats, I could pull it up, but I would, because I remember clearly. If you remember the stats from last election, PNM did win Tobago both seats, but they did not win them convincingly. The people of Tobago tried to speak up 5 years ago. However, as soon as PNM won the election in 2020, the people of Tobago came out and told the public, listen, you may have won now, but we are going to vote you out next election. I remember that super and crystal clear from Tobago. I remember that super clear. And look, in 2025, they held their promise and they voted out the PNM and they did not vote for the UNC as much. Tobago wanted actual change. They did not like either PNM or UNC for their country. This is an island that voted for change. They had their own party over there, the TPP, which actually does really good. So you is a carnival blog? Well, you see, Michael. You see. If you could understand where I'm coming from, right, Michael? Yes, the channel mostly is for carnival and events. But if you could understand what I'm about to say. I do exist in the political sphere. But do you expect me to talk about politics while I'm doing carnival events? While I'm doing, hiking events? Do you expect me to talk about politics then? No. No, I would not. Now I have a spot where I could speak about politics because something majorly political just happened. So come on, Michael. I like talking about politics, but I can't just bring up politics on the channel everywhere where it doesn't belong. Come on, like you understand what I'm trying to tell you here? I hope you understand where I'm coming from. But I do like politics. I do talk politics, but there's a time and place, you know. Tobago cannot run itself. Hmm. So, this is what I would say. This is what I would say to that. Because I am from there. This is what I would say for that. No. If we are to look at economics, no. Tobago obviously imports a lot of stuff from Trinidad, materials, food items. They do a lot of trade with us. I don't know why I'm saying it like it's not one country, like us, like it's a whole different country. But still, you get what I'm saying. Okay, so I'll give you that fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. In capital letters, FACT. They do trade. They depend on us for budget. Yes, in logical speaking terms, no. They they do depend on the mainland of Trinidad. Yes, that is facts. Can it run itself? Maybe. Maybe. But at the end of the day, Tobago deals mostly with tourism, and we do still supply a lot of stuff to Tobago. So on a totality, on a total spectrum, no, Tobago can't really run itself. And if you want to say yes, it can, please understand how different parts play in a country being run. But I could agree to some extent. Yes, it can't run itself like that. You believe there could be some productive partnership between the TPP and the UNC? I'm gonna be honest, self. I hope not. I hope not. I think TPP should stick to what they've been doing good with. You should really look into what the TPP has been doing for the people of Tobago. I think they should continue being a standalone thing. That's just my opinion. My opinion. Basdio Pandey represented both Indian and African. Um, yeah, yeah, Mama, yeah. Even though Mr. Basdio Pandey had his flaws, he was actually a really good leader. Yeah, I do. Tobago has, I remember exactly what you're talking about, Nicholas. I do remember Tobago said they want total anonymity from Trinidad and they do want to run themselves. I do remember. And a lot of Trinidadians actually started hating on Tobago when they said that. I remember that super clearly. And there's a, you know how there's a lot of Trinidadians who like to fight, don't talk and stuff, and they'll be like, oh well, let Tobago do the thing. If they want to be by themselves, let it be by themselves. I remember. I know exactly what they're talking about. Yes. Tobago has expressed the desire to be yeah, to be sovereign from Trinidad. I do remember that. St. Kitts is a federation, true. And they will get it. I mean, Nicholas, at the end of the day, they're well on the way, bro. Tobago's well on the way. If they could sustain themselves, I don't know how, bro. I'm not deep into economics. If they could sustain the stuff, which would be very difficult, let me not fool ourselves. If they can, then yeah, they could break away from us totally, man. Okay. Sorry, I got you now, self-imposed boss. Okay. We're on the same page now. Got you. Got you, boss. My apologies. No, Tobago girl, if you would if you would have an open mind to what I said. I hope you wasn't responding to me, but if you were responding to me, Tobago girl, I never said explicitly that you all can't run yourselves. And also, you should not take that in disrespect. We are not, and I'm not coming from a disrespectful angle when I say that as well. I am looking from an economic standpoint about you guys still. It's just facts. It's not anything disrespectful. You guys still do depend on the mainland of Trinidad for certain things. And that is a fact. No matter how you feel, no matter how that statement rings to you, Tobago girl, again, Tobago girl, do remember where I am from. I am from Tobago. I'm not from Trinidad, so I know. I have a fairly good idea. Okay, it's not meant as a disrespect. It is just facts. And in no way did I say that they cannot. They can. They can. But you have to understand that right now, we're speaking about right now. If they do want to break away fully right now, today, as in today, some sectors are going to suffer. That is all I'm saying. If you could understand where I'm coming from. But yes, they can support themselves if they completely, if they get a large payout, if they gotta get a nice energy sector up and running, because there are oil wells to the north of Tobago, start up a whole energy sector. Hell yeah, Tobago could be well on the way to being independent. Of course, 100%, 101% actually. An energy sector would be for Tobago, yeah. Okay, okay, got you, Tobago girl, got you 110%, got you. No scenes, we all cool, just making sure we all understanding the political sphere here. Um, I think the PF and the NT, if they continue growing, they will. Nicola, I feel like oh boy, to make inroads into Trinidad is gonna be difficult, right? Because to make inroads into Trinidad is a difficult task, and here's why, right? Remember, we said people still vote based on race in Trinidad, right? For you to have an outside chance, that means the PNM has to do something completely unthinkable, or the UNC has to do something completely unthinkable. The economy in Trinidad has to totally crash. The dollar has to be devalued. Several things has to be so bad for people to finally wake up to vote in, or for another party to get seats, because this is what happens on our island, right? And I'm gonna tell you, because I speak to a lot of people daily. You still find ignorant people on both sides of PNM and UNC saying stuff like this. I is a PNM till I dead. I go in and vote PNM every time. I is a PNM. No other people but PNM. PNM this, PNM that. I go in and vote PNM forever. That's what it is here. On the other side is here UNC. I is a UNC for life, not that other party. UNC is the way of life, the rising sun, the sun would keep rising, stuff like that. They are set in their ways, and they're legit people in Trinidad who has voted the same party for more than 30, 40, 50 years. Okay? So when you have a mentality like that that keeps being passed down, this is why you don't have any real chance of another party really getting a chance. So far, Michaela Pandey, she did get some votes, but it's notoriously difficult because of the mentality of people here. So people always ask, yo, how come people don't vote other people if people in Trinidad saying they're fed up? It's hard. It's gonna be hard for anybody. Anybody. It's gonna be hard for you to get votes. For you to see a different color in Trinidad, the person who has been holding these seats for years have to legit form a party for you to see a different color anymore. Because some people are very set in their ways that they're only voting this party for the rest of their life. There are so much people I know like that. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. It's just the way how it is. So sometimes real change just would not happen because of how set in the ways people are. People are just comfortable or ignorant about, stuff like this. Big question is Tobago people lazy or not? Not lazy. Not even close. Tobago people are hardworking. They're go-getters. And they're very serious about their island. Not lazy one bit. What Tobago people needs is better representation. They need the capital. Once they get that support, you would see how Tobago would flourish beyond your wildest dreams. They just have all the ingredients minus the correct assistance, in my view. But they're not lazy. They're I wouldn't say they're totally deprived, but stuff could be better. And you would see how amazing Tobago would be. But yes, they are very hardworking people. They are straightforward people. They are serious people. That you know what, Big Girl? I like that answer. I like that answer. Hell yeah. Pandey has no chance of that. Okay. So we talk about the in-depth stuff, right? So I have two questions. I have two questions for you. I have two questions for you in chat there, guys. One is in respect to the information that we have attained about the PNM. If anybody still came in here and still don't know, guys, the PNM has transferred leadership to Miss Penelope Beckles. She is now the political leader of the PNM. Just in case anybody still doesn't know, for whatever reason. It was announced today. So based on that information, do you think, just in case, in 5 years' time, if the PNM was to take back seats and win the general election, do you think that Miss Penelope Beckles is a good person to run Trinidad and Tobago? Do you guys see Penelope Beckles as a leader? Is what I really want to ask. Let's see what let's dribble some ideas out there. What you guys think? I'll give my thoughts after I see a few ideas. What do you guys think about Penelope running this country in like 5 years? You don't know much about her, all right? I would accept you being honest and saying you don't know much about a self-employed boss. I respect your honesty on the matter. No scene. Cool, cool. Nicola, but Radical Tobago has started making changes within their systems that I think Trinidad could take a page or two. Agreed. Agreed. Anne Marie said yes. Okay. So we have a female president and a female prime minister in opposition. Yo, I haven't even considered that. Yo, listen, I'm not even angry at that at all. I do find that interesting as you. I did not even factor that in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Zachary, for bringing that point. I did not factor in that we now have a female president, a female prime minister, and a female opposition leader. Wow. Not bad. Things really have changed. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You have no idea what kind of person she is? Nicola, she went up for the Arima seat, which she won here. She didn't win convincingly, but she won it. She won it. How old? I don't think Penelope is. Let me Google because I actually don't know. Oh wow, wow. So Penelope apparently is 63 years of age. The more you know. Okay, cool. The more you know. I did not know that bit of information. The more you know. How interesting. I wouldn't have even thought to check that for some reason. Okay, so give you a little bit of information about Penelope. All right, no problem. I could do that. We are here to talk, so I don't see why not. So Penelope has been in politics for as long as I could remember. I don't have the exact time frame she has been in politics, but I know it's been a long time. Penelope has been a member of parliament for a long time as well. She is she's a minister. She's a minister of planning and development. And before that, I think she was a permanent representative to the United Nations as well. I believe she was. Her father was also like very prominent. I remember. I don't know if a lot of you probably don't know Lionel Beckles, but I remember him. He worked for the Oilfield Workers Trade Union. That's a famous trade union that a lot of you should know, however. And that was her father. He was a prominent worker for the oilfield workers. I think I don't think she went to university away, but she did study law here. I know that for a fact. In the Hewden Law School, she did study law here. So she has been an attorney for like, I was born in 92, right? 1992. And I think she has been an attorney before I was born. I don't have the correct year, but she has been an attorney before I was born. I know that for a fact. Because she really has been out here for quite a while. What more could I say about her? What do I remember about her? I know she was opposition senator as well. And then she started representing Arima a long time, like in the 2000s, maybe 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. She started representing Arima, so she's been an Arima representative for what is that, 25 years now. So she has some time. She has a large amount of time behind her. She was vice chair. She was vice chairman of the PNM as well. I remember that. That was like when PNM lost the election in 2010. I remember that. So that's a few things that I remember about her. But overall, Penelope has done, if I'm just to sum up Penelope, she has a few questionable things here and there, but she has done good work for the country. She has done good work in the past. She has done good work previously for Arima. But she does have a lot of experience. She could be 68 if she becomes PM. You seem to know a lot about politics. I do. Ooh, Nicola. The thing about Stuart Young and the whole electing of So think about this, right, Nicola? I'll come back to that, Nicola. I'll come back to that. Because that's very interesting. So the thing about all of that is, so think of it from this position. A lot of people in the country have seen Stuart Young be elected at the very end of Keith Rowley's reign, right? That already raised some suspicions among the population as to, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not saying anything is concrete here. I'm just throwing out stuff to you in chat there. If you want to believe it, that's fine. If you don't want to believe it, that's also fine, because I'm not the fly on the wall with this talk. It's just talk, but it is what it is, right? This is the way how it looked to some people. So we have Mr. Keith Rowley on his way out. He already said, yo, this is my last term. Okay, so it is believed by some people that Mr. Keith Christopher Rowley has set up Mr. Stuart Young for failure. That's the consensus that a lot of people believe. These are not my conclusions. I actually don't have a conclusion about this. And they basically say that Mr. Rowley has thrown Mr. Stuart under the bus, is what is being regurgitated. I don't know how true that is. Who knows? Who knows? And it's also being further said, had Mr. Stuart won the election, he would have still not really been the true leader of the nation or the party, because Mr. Keith put him in that position, and they claim that Keith would have still been running the show. Okay, so that's enough hearsay. Don't want to be a conspiracy politics channel. So that's enough. Let me use those building blocks, right? So you hear that piece of information, which may be true, may not be true. We don't know what's in the minds of these politicians, right? So after hearing that, Mr. Stuart Young failed miserably to win the election. Like, come on, look at this. This is just bad licks. This map shows you how bad this whole thing was. Okay. You're not gonna wanna stay in this position after experiencing such a cocktail like this. You know what? At this point here of the consensus, listen, I'm gonna name someone more capable, or someone who I think should be the leader of this party after what has transpired, and I'm gonna leave it as that. That's all I could answer with your question, because at the end of the day, I don't know if any of this is true. It may all be poppycock, because we just think a set of madness as Trinidadians at the end of the day. But who knows? It could also be true. It could also be true as well. Who is... Oh, thank you, Joshua. This is an interesting question. Who that you have seen as your dream Prime Minister of Trinidad? Okay. So I'm gonna answer this. I have no problem answering this. So my opinion, because I could only, as an analyst, I could go back and just look at data and see who has done the most for the country. And it's super easy to say Dr. Eric Williams, right? But I'm not gonna be that type of person here. I'm gonna be a new day, a new age analyst. I'm gonna go based on my time on the earth, right? Like I said, I was introduced into the world in 92. I am choosing to go by that time frame and the people who was around me in those times. So to answer that question based on laying that platform, I'm not choosing to go all the way back to Eric Williams. A lot of you are significantly older than me in the chat, so you guys will have different opinions, of course. I am going based on the 90s here. And it is of my opinion that I think that Mr. Patrick Manning was actually a really good prime minister, in my opinion. Mr. Patrick Manning, even though he had his corruptions, it was not a scandal every month. You did not get a scandal from him every 6 months. There was a few scandals here and there. Yes, I admit. I am not blind. I'm not one of those blind people. If you support somebody, you don't see the wrongdoings. I'm going to get that out of the way right now. I saw he had a couple things here and there, a little controversies here and there, yes. But the man, I believe that Mr. Patrick Manning actually did have a vision for the country. He did start to implement a vision for the country. I did believe in his 2020 vision. He did really want to continue industrializing Trinidad to be in the energy capital, which we were in those times, by the way, of the Caribbean. He had a plan in his head, and he actually started to do some stuff. And then Mr. Keith Christopher Rowley, unfortunately, did not carry out that plan. I've been honest about Mr. Keith Christopher Rowley. He did not. He almost dismantled Mr. Patrick Manning's plan, basically. So I believe that he actually wanted good for us. Yes, there are people who are going to claim that he did not help certain groups of people. Okay, fine, that's fine. But I do believe he was a good prime minister. On the heels of Mr. Patrick Manning, and this is very rare that you have a good leader and a good opposition, I also believe Mr. Basdio Pandey. I don't think he was as good as Mr. Manning, but he was really good. Mr. Basdio Pandey also was a good prime minister. Coincidentally enough, there was a lot of controversy that followed him. He did help his people and not his people. That is obvious. He did start some other things from where Mr. Manning left off. Well, not where he left off, before him. He did start some things. Manning added on to something. So Mr. Basdio Pandey was also a good leader. But I am saying, based on me, nobody else's opinion, that I believe Mr. Manning was a good leader. I have not seen anybody capable of leadership after that. My honest opinion. I don't think anybody has a vision like him. I don't think anybody cared like him. I haven't seen anybody close to leadership like him until Michaela Pandey came on the scene, which is what I touched on 2 nights ago. When Michaela Pandey came on the scene, and she piqued my interest for a very long time. I was disinterested in the political regime because I was just like going through the motions, just like everybody. Fed up with this and fed up with that. And I was like, oh gosh, PNM, UNC, whatever. And then Michaela Pandey was a very small breath of fresh air. I was perhaps like, are we finally going to get good leadership again after Mr. Manning? And unfortunately, she did not live up to the hype that she started with. So after Mr. Patrick Augustus moving Manning, there has not been anybody that I think is like worthy for a good leader. Really. And that's my 2 cents on that. But there are a number of people that I am interested in seeing in leadership roles. One being Michaela, and next being Penelope Beckles. And I was actually interested in seeing Stuart Young lead the country as well, because I wanted to know what that would look like. So those are 3 people I would say I was interested in seeing lead the country. But as far as, who I felt like could have, no. I don't have anybody after him. So is your channel monetized? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Self-improve, boss. do you have any real information to share? Basically, I went over everything major that I needed to go over, which was basically this, the counts. I know it's small, but we went over the counts in several areas. This is what I really wanted to bring to you to show you guys of how one of the real bits of information was PNM voters did not come out to vote June. That is a fact. Based on the numbers of law seats that the PNM incurred, you could see that the UNC people did come out, the PNM people did not come out. So that's one bit of information to share. I shared the new leader of the PNM is Penelope Beckles. I shared the swing seats, what happened. I also go further and shared why in each area that is now UNC, why they lost because of inside knowledge. You could go back in the stream and see where I talked about that. There's a slider on YouTube at the bottom of the stream. You could just go back and you see where I talked about all of those. So I mentioned and touched on all those different bits of information there. I'm a refugee though. But all I'm gonna say as well, I didn't mention the two foxes. I would not say we were amazing, but it was so interesting to have a political leader, Patrick Manning, and an opposition leader, Mr. Bazio Pandey, who were exceedingly well in politics. Like, you always accustomed to one person being okay, or one person being bad, or two people being bad, and you have to vote for the lesser two evils, which we do here, which America does, which a lot of people does. So it's very rare and very strange to have two people that are actually stable. I'll use the word stable. And that was a weird time in the country, where you have two people you could vote in one, and you would know, okay, Trinidad wouldn't be bad off. It will be fine. You're playing Manon, you'll be fine. You're playing Panda, you'll be fine. So that was a weird time in our history. I would say that. Where it could depend on either person. Thank you very much for your 199 super chat. Yeah, now Robertson was the best prime minister ever. Alright, I could accept that. I could accept that. But again, that's not my time. So I'm choosing to do my time here. What do you think the future plan should be for Trinidad? That's a loaded question. That's a very loaded question. It's a very, very loaded question. Yeah, I'm going back on all comments, K-Rich. It's not behind or anything. I just want to catch what people are asking if I miss something important. So I want to just go through everybody. No, we are a UNC country, judging from the map. I guess. I guess. Rowley did have TNT stable for the past 9 years. I'm not saying no, Rosemary. I'm not saying no. However, there's several things that I did not agree when it came to the Honorable Rowley. There are several things that I didn't really agree with. And I would say he was an okay leader. I would share what was my main thing with Mr. Rowley. This was the main thing for me. I personally think that he did a good job for COVID. I would think he did a good job for COVID. I don't think he made too many bad decisions when it came to the pandemic. And the thing about that is that would show the true testament of any leader worldwide. And you saw worldwide how leaders responded to the COVID epidemic. You saw it. And judging from how other countries dealt with COVID and how Mr. Rowley dealt with COVID, I think personally, again, a lot of you would disagree or whatever. That is fine. You are entitled to your opinion. I felt that Mr. Keith Christopher Rowley handled COVID okay. He handled it well. I don't think that the UNC could have handled COVID better. Being that as it may, getting that out of the way, and you could listen with your ear, Rajesh. You don't need to be combatant. You need to understand where I'm coming from. Being that as it may, Rajesh and other people who don't agree with that, there's stuff that he did wrong. There's a specific way he spoke to people. A lot of people didn't like the way he spoke to people. They felt like he was a bully. They felt like he was shouting, he was barking, he didn't know how to speak to people. Me, I would say yes. I agree I would agree to a point. The only reason I would not fully agree that, he was a full bully and stuff is because you guys have to understand, and this is not me defending Mr. Rowley, and I don't need to defend him either. You guys need to understand that dealing with Trinbagonians, even though you guys could bring up your country and say the nicest things, you guys have to understand how dealing with Trinidadians on a whole is. Dealing with Trinidad. If any of you have had service jobs where you deal with a lot of people, you should rub two brain cells together and understand where I'm coming from. This is nothing about being biased here. Dealing with Trinidadians could be a handful. We are not the easiest people. We have a lot of nice people here, but please, let's not pretend for a moment that it's a little tricky to deal with so much Trinidadians. Let's not do that. Like, please, let me be honest if we're being honest. And it will be the same thing for you. Dealing with so much different Trinidadians, it's going to be tough. And you have to exuberate some level of authority to deal with all these Trinidadians. Let me not pretend here. So while I agree, yes, he did come off as a bully, and he probably needed to speak to people better and not shush off people like that. You also have to understand that was sometimes needed to deal with how Trinidadians just bark at you. And because you hold a position, people here feel entitled to so much things, and they need this. And I remember people saying, Mr. Rowley is the Prime Minister, you have to do this, and you have to do that, and I need my money, and you have to think about this. And it's not, you should consider it, you have to. That's how Trinidadians are. So going based on that, remember I say, let's not pretend here. I am willing to meet you all halfway, but I am not willing to fully agree, because at the end of the day, I being real, this is Trinidad and Tobago, and we have an attitude here. Let me not pretend. So based on that, Rajesh, whether or not you agree with me after this still or not, the man did an okay job. Whether or not you agree, the man did what he could do. It may not have been the best. It was not the best in my opinion, but it was whatever. N.A.R. Robson had a vision for TT to be self-sufficient. However, John Public did not buy into his vision. Oh yeah, I remember this, Nicola. I remember this. Nicholas, and you brought forward an interesting point. His response, especially to the media, a lot of people did not like it. But if you would have listened to some of these media house questions, you would understand why Dr. Keith Rowley responded the way he did. Because some of those questions were utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Let me hear your take on closing Petrotrin. My take on closing Petrotrin is this, right? Petrotrin served a good purpose in Trinidad and Tobago, yes. We were a nice booming energy sector, yes. We are choosing facts here. Petrotrin was bleeding the country. Now you could argue, okay, Brandon, why was Petrotrin bleeding the country? Because there was corruption in Petrotrin. You know what I would respond to? Yes, because I am a neutral person, Rajesh. I am not going to be like, yes, this and that. I'll be neutral, yes. There's a lot of corruption happening in Petrotrin. There are a lot of people involved in Petrotrin filling their pockets. Yes, I agree. That is a known thing. However, being that as it may, Petrotrin has become a notoriously difficult thing to manage. And Petrotrin is a notoriously difficult thing to manage. Should it have closed? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. But for it to remain open, it needed to be managed by somebody else. Now, Miss Kamla Bisesa Bisad is uttering words of reopening Petrotrin. And you know what? She could do it successfully. She could reopen Petrotrin. But the thing about it is, opening Petrotrin is the easiest part for her. Managing Petrotrin is what's going to be difficult. And that is what I am waiting to see. How she is going to do. I could personally tell you now, I don't think Petrotrin is going to be a success. I do. But I am holding out hope to see if she really has a plan. And if it's going to be a successful plan. That is my answer for that. But yes, there was a lot of corruption, a lot of dirty-handedness, and it was bleeding the nation. Who won? Diego Martin was? The PNM won both Diego Martin's anointed. As we see here, let me show you. Diego Martin, Column Imbut won the seat. And then Simon, sorry. Ooh, Simon won a seat. So both Diego Martin, Central and East won their seats. Notorious PNM stronghold, by the way. Yeah. The thing about it is though, I will admit, Deepak, that there were a number of people from the PNM that cemented their people in Petrotrin. Yes. However, you have to acknowledge that UNC did the same thing before, where UNC also put people in Petrotrin. Now, I know your fight or flight response would be like, no, but listen, it was obvious. It was told to the public. Both parties did it. I am being a fair and thorough person. UNC also did put their people in Petrotrin to gain and prosper, and they did. And PNM did the same thing. The same thing happened on both sides. And that is also a fact. That's not hearsay. That's a fact. It was severely mismanaged, Rajesh. Severely mismanaged. But pockets filling has become a pastime in Trinidad and Tobago for many, many years. The pockets filling syndrome is a thing. Unfortunately, it will continue. If you think pockets filling going to stop now, it's not. If you think it's going to stop if it switch over, nope. Pockets filling would always be a thing because the weakness of humans is power and wealth. Okay, just based on that, it doesn't matter who is in power. The pockets filling thing would just simply continue, and there's nothing you could do about it. There's absolutely nothing. Alright, so time to issue a question to you guys again. This is the second question that I did not get out. I asked you about Penelope Beckers and what you guys think. So now I'm going to ask you about the Honorable Kamla Bisesa Pisad. Do you guys think that she has what it takes at 73 years old, not highlighting her age but based on her last time in government, Do you think Kamala has what it takes to successfully run this country till 2030? Do you think she's gonna bring us out of whatever we're facing? Honest, honest opinions here. Unbiased, please. As unbiased as possible, if you could. Do you think she has what it takes to be a fantastic leader and bring us out of whatever we're facing now, all the way to 2030? Let's read some comments. Let's see what you guys think. And I'll answer your question now, Zachary. If I think Kamala can realistically fulfill all the promises she made, no, I do not. No, I do not realistically think she could fulfill. I don't think anybody, and it's not just a Kamala thing, just in case people get angry, it's not just a Kamala thing. I don't think half of the promises people coming into power could actually successfully fulfill them, because these things are intricate. These things have been there for so long that it's going to be difficult to fix certain issues. So no, I don't think she's going to do everything she said. But I do think she's going to try. I do think she's actually going to try. And that is what I want to see. But again, promises is one of the easiest things you can make in power. You see that with promises, and I will, that is word of mouth. That is easy. Action is what's difficult for people to do, because you may have an idea in your head and you may try to execute it, but you're halfway along the way, you're going to realize, wow, this is more complicated than I thought. This is more difficult than I thought, you know? Oh, you know what, Deepak? Deepak, I like you. I like you. But you also have to, what to say about this, boy? So this is something I heavily agree with, but I have to be careful with how I want to say this, Deepak. I am one for wanting crypto to be more prevalent in Trinidad. But listen to this, right? Listen to this. I feel like the public, before you even introduce that, bro, the public has to be taught, extensively taught about crypto. Because people, remember, a lot of people here either suffering or not, and even though they're not suffering, they want to get rich fast. And because they go in within that mindset, I want to get rich fast, you're going to make mistakes with crypto. Crypto is something that's a risk, okay? And to introduce crypto in Trinidad, bro, I am being honest, I don't think we're going to handle crypto too good. We need lessons. We need to be taught. They need to have programs if they're going to bring crypto. I know a lot of people was angry that the banks blocking crypto and doing trading. I actually was in support of that. I actually was in support of the banks blocking it for now. Because, listen, even though the banks blocking it because they can't make money on it, that's the number one reason. And even, like I say, I don't pretend on this channel. The number one reason the banks ain't going to make much money on you making money with crypto. Let's be real here. But simultaneously, it's also saving a lot of people from losing the money. Because I could already see people going and withdraw $20,000 as soon as crypto come in Trinidad. As soon as it happened, a man going and withdraw $20,000, put into XRP or Tesla or something, and that stock could go all the way down and they lose that. Like, and then who you think they going and blame? Let me insert that idea in your brain. When he lose all that money, who you think that person going to blame? You think they're going to blame themselves because they put $20 and rushed into crypto? Come on. So crypto is something I would love for it. I would love for it to be here and for it to be released, but that is something big that they need to have programs with before that is released here. Hey, good night, Hafiz. Welcome. I went for perennial lastly officers to do their work. As a farmer, I was abused. From doing gardening again. I'm so sorry to hear that, Tomato. I'm so sorry. That's so unfortunate. A lot of people have called for bullying from the armed forces in terms of stuff like that. Hey, Russell. Yeah, there are some people that have found a workaround and they are involved in crypto based on because they're on international wallets and stuff like that, and they've signed up with people like Trillions locally here. There's a group called Trillions. That's one that does crypto for you, but it's always an organization that does the crypto for you. And even in that scenario, you're getting somebody to do it for you. You have to trust that entity 100% because there has been a lot of scam that has taken place with crypto already, where somebody came down into our country and be like, yo, you could come through me with crypto, and they get them all their money and the bunks, and they bunks with millions of dollars. So that's something. And yes, there are people who have signed up away with other companies to do it. So there are people who are doing crypto here already, but not on a large scale, and that will take some time. That's a whole thing. So for that to come here now, no. And exactly there we go. Do you think Trinidad will ever get back to the days of a strong oil production line? Oh boy. Damn, Joshua, that's a good question. So if I am to look at what's going on right now, right? So that would also entail, that question would also entail if we are going to see the glory days again, or if glory days are behind us. Because, booming oil economy is good for citizens once, everybody not stuff in the pockets and the share with the country. But are we going to see those days again? I would say yes. If I give strong thought to it, yes. However, Joshua, I am being very honest. I don't think we are going to see those glory days within the next 10 years. Very, very honest. I think we will return to that spot in like 20 years, 30 years. I'm so sorry that that's how I think it will be. So I think we will get some. We will be an energy be competitor in the capital again, but I don't think it's gonna be anytime recent. but if I get proven wrong, that'll be fantastic for all of us. That'll be really fantastic for all of us. So let's hope I'm wrong and I just talking stupidness and I not seeing something and all of a sudden we booming again. That'll be fantastic. That's something that you would be love to be proven wrong in. But I am personally not seeing it based on the trends, the oil reserves that we are currently tapped in. There are some that we haven't gone in yet. But when they release how much cubic volumes of oil and gas there are there, then I can make a further analysis of, would we be great or not? But as it stands now, nah. Thank you, Aruna. Thank you. I appreciate that. How much Roger Alexander run by? No problem. I'm happy to show. I am happy to show you. So he went up for Tunapuna, right? Just refreshing for you. Okay, so here it is. Tunapuna. So this is the votes here. Mr. Roger Alexander got 8,466 votes in the Tunapuna district, and the PNM got 6,943 votes. By standards and methods, this was a close-ish contested seat, close-ish, a mere fact of like 1,000 and more, but he still won. He still won fairly. That's fair enough. So Roger got 8,466 votes. I feel TNT have to look beyond oil and gas, a lot of things. Yes. And digital Island Boy, we should have done that before. we should have done that before. We should have taken other things seriously, because you can't take for granted natural elements like oil and gas, because those things don't replenish, because those things are from prehistoric time and dinosaurs and all those things, and the rottening, and because they're in rock, all the oil and gas trapped, that's how you get that. We don't have those things anymore, even though there's slightly different ways oil and gas is, but that was the main way. We don't have those massive animals now to be trapped under the earth thousands of feet below to make new oil and gas. So it's not super replenishable, right? So at some point in time, you should have knowledge that there is going to come a day where oil and gas is going to be depleted and your energy sector is going to take a hit. So you look to exports and imports. And that's the thing. We were a good exports country. We had stuff here that we were exporting. We was exporting sugar, we was exporting bananas, we was exporting bauxite, we was exporting other materials that a lot of people actually don't know that we export. We do export natural materials here. We have quarries that we export. We have all these things that we export. But again, mismanagement, we don't take things serious. We were like, yeah, we's an oil and gas country. Yeah, boy, we swimming in money, and look where we are today. So if we had taken certain things, our agriculture sector was booming at a point in time as well. Yes, we get hit by some floods and this and that, but all these things we were not taking serious to export. We did them in the past, but it's like, yeah, oil and gas, we set for life, No problem, Deepak. I'm interested. I'm liking how chill you are. We could have a discussion anytime. That's not a problem. Do you think Guyana right now is experiencing what Trinidad experienced in those years? Joshua, I love your question, and Joshua, I'm going to answer you directly, yes. Yes. I would answer you even further, Joshua. I went to Guyana last October for 5 days, or 6 days, right? To watch the finals of CPL cricket. I went to Guyana, and I knew that they were experiencing their oil boom for their reserves that they just stopped. And listen to me. Listen and listen closely to me. I don't know strictly about their politics and how much people are stiff over there and yada yada, but I'm just speaking on what I saw. This may just be surface level, or it could be fact. When I went to Guyana in October, Guyana is building up every single area. Every single area I was in, there's workmen working in communities. Every house is now a 2-3 story house. There's full communities being built up. You could see that the money is working for Guyana. The leader came out. He was like, listen, I am going to give everybody in Guyana a certain sum of money. Guess what? You would think that that's crazy. You think that that's crazy to hear that, a political leader of a country is like, I'm going to share the wealth amongst everybody. You know what? He actually did it. Even though in Guyanese money, it's not super a lot. When we did the conversion, I did the conversion, and it turns out the money that he's giving out to every Guyanese is to the equivalent to 3,800 and something TT dollars. It was close to 4,000 TT dollars. But in their money, obviously, it's a couple $100,000 in their money. It sounds large, but but he was giving out that sum to a lot of people, and he did. And then infrastructure is on the way. Highways, Guyana now have highways there. They've built up a whole lot of stuff. They have improved their security, and this is what I saw when I went there last October. So yes, I would directly tell you immediately, yes, Guyana is currently what we were. Yes. Yes, I thank you, Patricia. I do try to be unbiased and critical and straight to the point as possible when it comes to politics, because I don't want stuff that I say be misconstrued or make people feel I on one side, which I'm not. I am for my entire country of Trinidad and Tobago. I too have been upset by how we have mismanaged a lot of stuff in this country. I am upset as well. And I find we should have been in a better position, because our Twin Island nation offers a lot. We offer a lot. Even stuff like I'm going to touch very small on this. Even our national instrument, and I'm sure a lot of you guys may know this, or a lot of you guys may not know this, right? Our national instrument, the pan, right? the pan. I am not the biggest pan lover in the world. However, I knew that we have the title of making the first instrument in the 21st century, right? When you look up steel pan, it originates from Trinidad and Tobago. You would expect that an instrument originating from here, we would hype it up super more, export it, take pride. We sat on our asses and it's like almost like we barely claim pan. And do you want to hear something so wild? Do you guys know that Japan fell in love with our pan and started having festivals? Now I want you to hear what I say again, right? Do you know that Japan loved our pan so much? They have pan sides in Japan and they have literal festivals with pan. And they celebrate pan and they acknowledge, hey, this came from Trinidad and we love pan over here. And they have full festivals. You could Google it, you could YouTube it. Full festivals with pan. And you would swear pan originated in Japan. If you did not know better, you would swear. And that is crazy to me. We only took exporting pan and taking it serious and copyrighting it and doing all those stuff last year. When we started having a national and international pan day, and pan week, and pan month, and pan day, and then started claiming certain stuff. Like all those, and look at that. That's rich culture of Trinidad and Tobago. The pan, the steel pan, the first instrument created in 21st century, and the last. There hasn't been an instrument created since then. So yes, I am part of the people who think critically and kind of fed up based on how I know we could have been. They could do Trinidad and Tobago couldn't do the same through transparency and honesty. Jamie. Bro, politicians being honest, I feel like those two things don't belong hand in hand. Right, Janie? You were so accustomed to politicians being a certain way for so long. Like, you could imagine politicians being honest. That feels like a far-fetched idea now. Like you barely would imagine they being straightforward and transparent with you. Like, could you imagine one day they'd be like, well, guys, we have no money in all here. Or like, guys, listen, things real hard and I don't know how to run this country. You could imagine honesty coming out of politicians. Well, that's be crazy. That will be mad. I can't remember exactly when we'll know about placements and all of that. Whew. But if you guys want, we could on the day that the cabinet is announced and who goes in what ministry, if you guys would like that, we could have a little talk about that too. If you guys want, I could go live and we could take in the arrangements. If that's something you guys would be interested in. Yo, I actually do need to hydrate. Thank you. I am a little bit parched. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Thank you very much, K Rich, for that hydration check. Appreciate it. Also, just a reminder, guys, we will be in Point Fortin tomorrow. We'll be Point Fortin tomorrow to take in their Borrow Day celebrations, and then you could join me on Saturday for the main for the main Borrow Day events as well. So all right, let's see. In recent times they're getting better with steel pan. Yes, in recent times. And that's mainly because they started getting serious with the replacement of the previous president. And Miss Beverly is doing she's doing a good job. She's doing a good job. Our exposure has quadruplified. Please go live. Alright, no problem. Well, I got you. When the cabinets are announced and stuff, alright. We'll go live and talk about it. You from Labre? Oh shoot. Yo, Deepak, y'all fought for Labre, man. Y'all fought. That was red for like 3 hours. And then whew, Labre was a hard fought seat, man. The MPs do not try to divide the country with any racial nonsense. I don't know. It shocked you? Yeah. That was crazy. That was a fight of a life, man. So Clyde. Okay, cool. There was some hard fought seats here. Okay, so guys, if any of you would like any insights or wanna know wanna know anything else about anything, feel free to ask in chat. If you want my input about something, I'll try my best to answer you if I'm knowledgeable about it, of course. But what the hell is this Rajing? Okay, so let me humor you a little bit. Before you delete this comment, Rajing, if you're hearing me, even if I was, right? Is that a problem? Even if I was. I saw several people editing pictures showing in the next 5 years all of Tobago will be yellow. And there's been some funny pictures made by Trinidadians that has come out of this election as well. Not why, bro? Damn, that's crazy. Well, rip him. Doesn't matter. Me growing up, right? Me growing up, I have said this. If you guys have listened over the years of how politicians speak, how they talk to us, you would immediately realize that there has been a disconnect between politicians and the simple people on the ground like me and you. And that has been a thing forever. There's people in power, people with money. There's always gonna be a disconnect with people in power and the simpletons. I've been saying this since I was small. I had wished people in power come and mingle amongst us, do simple things that we do, right? And then that's how you would experience people actually serving their constituencies properly. When you are just like everybody, involved in everything that we do. Because at the end of the day, people in prominent positions don't go to supermarkets and after decide to put back one tuna because this tuna is more expensive, or decide on a cheaper, less tasting tuna, or decide to buy 5 toilet paper and not the bale because the bale more. No, they don't get to experience that, or get to experience that baby formula is expensive, or pack of milk is expensive. They're not on the ground like that. They have people who do all of that for them. They don't get to experience us having to deal with high prices here. Their salary is also inflated. They don't have to experience what living paycheck to paycheck is. They don't have to experience, oh, I seen this figure, but tax and NIS going and take out this X amount of money at the end of the month. You know, if they lived our lives a little bit, maybe then. But there's a big disconnect with politicians and the regular people. There always has been, there always would be. They know that crime is a thing. They do know that, and like I said, crime is something difficult, but they're not at the doorstep living in several hotspots or living and having to experience somebody kidnapping or shooting their family member here and there. It happened once or twice to a lot of prominent people, but they don't have to deal with that and knowing how crime on your doorstep affects you, affects your family, like, you know. So there's a disconnect that has happened many years, and when I was small, I said I wish they could, you know, step down from there for a little bit, live as a commoner, and see how it is over here. And maybe then you might understand, as a political figure, why people are frustrated. Do you feel for TNT size that TNT has the right number of seats for parliament, or should it be more or less MPs? Damn, that's a damn good question. That's a damn good question. So the thing we would have to look at, though, right? So I was about to say yes, it would be nice if we had more seats, like they like for instance, right? So I'm gonna tell you both why it would be nice, but also be a problem. So if you look at this from this angle, digital island boy, we have this Toco-Sangre Grande seat, right? Look how massive it is. It's the entire northeast corridor. This is a big chunk of Trinidad, and you would, in your mind, you would be like, could one person effectively serve this entire sector of Trinidad, this entire constituency? And the answer that would come to your brain firstly is no. One person, you know, can't really serve this, and you could break this up in three, because if you go over here, you would see that the area of Barataria and St is chunky, the area of Aranguez is small, and you'd be like, wow, look at this, and you could be like, yes, let's put different seats in there to serve the people better. However, this is the thing with this. You have to factor in population density. Okay? Population density is a factor. If you break this up, you have to remember, and I'll show you the point I'm making. I'll show you the exact point I'm making, so you could have a nice perspective of what I'm about to tell you. This is what you're going to be facing with if you split it. You have to realize that most of the top of this part of Trinidad is forest. There's not much people who actually live in Toco-Sangre Grande. And all of the people that live in Sangre Grande legit just live in a small pocket. Right? And all the areas of Toco is along the ocean. Literally, look at the density being portrayed here. Along the ocean. All the way to Grand River. Along the ocean. And then they cut across the country. All this is forest. There's not much people who actually live in these sectors in Trinidad. It's the same thing when you go down to this large part of Trinidad here. Mayaro. This is Mayaro at the bottom here. Guayagüare. This is all forest. This is swamp forest. The people that actually live along Mayaro live in communities along the ocean front. So you have to factor in population density when you're talking Guayare. All this is forest. Just forest, endless forest. And all the people live alongside the edge near the ocean. So you have to factor those things in. And because of that, it doesn't really make sense to split. You could maybe split it between... If you were to split this, you could actually split this here. The top side is Toco and Sangre Grande. You could split this because... for you to work this whole constituency, you have to be back and forth. And the thing about this, from Toco to Sangre Grande is a hell of a drive. So you could split this, but then it's not feasible because of the density of the areas. So I would say for once 41 seats is fine. Okay, no, cool. That's cool. That's cool. Steotong just went and realized 500 don't go far. Yeah. That kind of upset me that it either comes off as pretending or you're so out of it. You're so in your own box that you didn't realize that $500 in Trinidad is... That's snacks. That's snacks, something to drink, and maybe something health-wise. But like that would not carry you in the way of groceries at all. You're really enjoying the segment? I'm happy. I'm happy you are. Deepak, boss. Me and you could lie, no. I like your vibes, Deepak. I like your vibes. I'm not going to respond to that. That may be true, but that's funny though. That's quite funny. Oh my gosh. Nobody lives up there. Shores Venezuela East, nah. And it's the same for Tobago as well, right? You would see you see this large constituency for Tobago. You'd be like, what the hell? Why do I have this as one giant seat? But when you go to Tobago, right? Look. This is a whole forest with a natural reserve. Let me see if I could find it. Waterfall. This is a nature retreat. It's supposed to have the natural reserve somewhere. Right, there we go. Tobago Main Ridge Forest Reserve. This whole section in the middle of Tobago is just forest. You know what's funny? This whole backside of Tobago is cliffs. If you've ever been on this side of Tobago, it's just high cliffs. Cliffs everywhere. And then forests again. Everybody in Tobago lives on the outskirts of Tobago. So the constituency of Tobago looks massive, but then look at it. It's just forest. It's just nothing but bush. So they're kind of accurate with how they drew out these constituencies. Sort of. Some could be better, but still. It's fine for now. Looking forward to more. Whoa. Unfortunately, I do appreciate you guys appreciating me for being, honest and straightforward. And you guys are liking the segment. I am actually liking the segment as well. And you guys are amazing to talk to, and everybody's chill here. Unfortunately, this would not be something I would be speaking about too much, even though I like politics. If something major politically happens, then I could talk to you again, but my channel is mainly not political. I don't really speak politics on my channel. I mainly do events and fetes and events and parties and stuff like that. So it's not something that you guys would experience a lot of unfortunate, because that's not what I do here. So, but it is fun. I do like it, and it would only happen when main political stuff goes on. Not, it wouldn't be, too often. Could these be the what? Bro, what is what this question though? Okay, anointed. Oh, you're asking some funny stuff, bro. I don't know what to tell you there, buddy. I don't know what to tell you there. Do you like cricket? Joshua, funny enough, cricket is my life, brother. Cricket is my life. Cricket is the number one thing I like in life. I am a heavy cricket fan. I play cricket. I watch cricket. I am present in CPL, which is why I traveled in Guyana to watch cricket. Almost fight because Guyana cheats me. I would never let that rest with the lights and sabotage us. Would never let that go as long as I live. But yes, cricket is me. I am cricket. Um, we could touch on that a little bit since it was born out of politics, carriage. So weed, marijuana has been decriminalized. It is illegal in the sense of if you have more than a certain amount on you, you can be arrested still. However, if you do have under the limit or you do have no more than 4 plants, you would not get in trouble because they decriminalize aspects, and you have to work within rules of it. So, everyone has been allotted to have 4 marijuana trees now, but you can't go wild and grow a plantation. That is illegal still, and you can't be having the buds rolled up in a plastic with a lot. You can't be having that, because you would be charged for trafficking. No, transporting. Why do I forget the term for transporting drugs, bro? Am I blanking right now? Someone help me, bro. That's so funny. Is it traffic? I can't remember, bro. That's so funny. I don't remember that simple thing. The term for transporting drugs and you get catch. Hey, Joan Pat, I remember you. I'm glad you're there enjoying. I'm happy to do it. More than 30. Yeah, exactly. Oh, drug trafficking. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I was blanking heavy there for some reason. So yeah, if you have a parcel with over 30 grams, you'll be drug trafficking. Have a good night, Rosemary. Thank you so much for spending time with us. We appreciate it. I personally don't. I am glad it's delegalized and stuff, and people are being brave and smoking weed and stuff in public. However, I wish they would I wish some people would understand that not everybody likes weed, likes the smell of weed being blown in your face and stuff like that, and should be respective of the public spaces that they're in. Like if you're in a rally or you're in a event or something like that or a fete, like have some consideration for the people around you, because at the end of the day, weed has a very pungent smell, And it's like, oh gosh, have some consideration. So I actually don't like people blowing, smoking weed and stuff in public. But it's whatever. It's just one of those things, you know? Ninja Girl, thank you for joining. So we will be wrapping up things in about 10 minutes here. We'll be wrapping up things in about 10 minutes. If anybody has any last minute questions to ask, we'll be heading out in 10 minutes, boys and girls. You hear the smell with a passion here? I know a lot of people who hear the smell of weed. I do. A lot of people hear that smell. The main day of borrow day and the main day of activities is this Saturday, Rosemary, when you have the Juve in the morning, and then you have the passing of the bands and parade as well in the afternoon. So the main day is Saturday, this Saturday. Do you plan to do a West Indies live watch along channel? Unfortunately, doing lives of cricket, cricket is like a very copyrighted thing, so the stream would go down and I will get a strike on my channel and I would not be able to stream for like 3 months. So I wouldn't be able to do like show the match, but if it's like a watch along without it in the background, yeah, but people don't really watch alongs like that in the Caribbean, like people just do sports away. So I don't think that would be a big hit. Is there any EBC reforms you'd like to see? Um, you know, I'll answer this question like this. It may be disappointing to you, maybe, but Digital Island Boy. Unfortunately, I started growing fed up of politics and fed up of certain stuff not progressing, that I kind of put myself in a mental state as well as the whatever vibes. So I'm not really looking forward to nothing, being plain and simple. I'm not looking forward to anything right now. If I see UNC do a good job and I start to my excitement for politics and change start to reignite, then I'll be able to answer that question in the future. But as of right now, I unfortunately have slipped into the whatever vibes. So I'm not really excited about anything right now. The only thing that will get me excited is if I see we start to do better in certain areas and I start to get excited about politics again then. But as of right now, no. I'm not really excited about anything. The thoughts of inhaling other people's smoke is totally disgusting. To me, smoking should not be done at... Alright. Fair. The little red dot on the map, what constituency is that? Oh, this one over here, San Fernando. The one that Manning's son won. The only seat in this part of Trinidad. Alright, Joshua. I'll think about it. Thank you. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. That Republic Bank Pan event starts at 5 p.m. Rosemary. I'll be going live a little bit before, but 5 p.m. I'll be live tomorrow with that event. But it's all according to how I work, as Kirit said. It all according to how I work and the timing. If it's for CPL, I definitely would not be doing a watch along because I just go paint up myself in the red, white, and black, have my whole Trinidad and Tobago flag, and be part of the thing. So, but if it's West Indies, maybe, but definitely not when CPL happening. I just be front and center, supporting my team like a real patriot. So. Thank you for your subscription, Junior James. Interestingly, the MP for Point Fortin lost his seat and said he served well. That was pure vengeance. Yeah. Yeah. That happened to one or two areas, Big Google, if I'm being correct. One or two areas that PNM has lost, the person actually wasn't half bad and they actually did some work, but because people were just fed up or for vengeance, they got voted up. But that's only true for one or two seats. But yes, that is one of the seats that happened. Unfortunately, Ninja Girl, I wish there were more people like me. Not trying to big up myself or put myself up there. I'm not. But I just wish there were more critical thinkers like myself. A lot of people like to say they're critical thinkers, but then when you start to talk politics with them, you realize that no, they're not. And you end up in a fight, a political fight, which often happens here. A lot of people can't talk politics for the life of them. A lot of people take it way too emotional, way too personal, and before you know it, you're in a fight. So I do wish we had more people thinking critically. It would have been nice. That's why there's so much divide, so much disagreements, so much issues. Because people just acting on emotion and they don't really think. And then some are just not educated at all on politics. So. Thank you very much. Okay. Everybody in chat did a good job as well. I thoroughly enjoy people listening, people giving their points. Even the people that disagreed with me, there was a little bit of people. They were still nice. They're like, I don't really agree with you, Radical, but you know what? You know what you're talking about? I respect that. So the chat was phenomenal. It was really nice tonight, and I loved it. That's the type of thing I wish the whole country could have had, but you can't have everybody being sensible, right? The world don't work like that, unfortunately. Yeah, some people take it really, really personal. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful night. I keep wanting to call you Aurora, and then there's an N after your A, so it's throwing me off. So it's Aurora. Got it. Have a good night, Aurora. Zachary, no problem. I had fun with your question, Zachary. You asked me one good question that, had me thinking. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining the discussion. No problem, Digital. Thank you as well for your many questions. I enjoyed your questions. It was fun talking to you. Good night, Ninja Girl. Alright, so we have like 2 minutes here. Any last minute questions would be entertained before we head off. I'm gonna just stick around for 2 more minutes and we out of here. Hey, Jesse. Remember, common sense is not common in... Yeah, you're right. You are completely right. It isn't common in everyone. Oh, it's Chris? Chris is working a lot these days, Rosemary. He's very occupied. He's basically he's divulged himself into his work. So you wouldn't be really hearing much from him until maybe, I don't know, until maybe August for Pan Month, when he could set aside time again. But yeah, money is a thing a lot of people constantly need, so he's trying his best to go out there and get it. So he's very preoccupied with it. But he's going okay. Hey, and Ninja Girl, you're always welcome to check out other stuff that we do here, which is mainly events. So feel free to come back anytime. You're welcome back anytime. Deepak, I had fun talking to you, brother. Fun talking to you. You're also welcome back. Thank you for the good conversation. You find it was a great victory for the UNC? Jesse, that is a severe understatement. It was almost a flawless. It was a landslide cutoff. Yeah, Ninja Galera, exactly. Thank you, Deb. All right, so this is where I part ways with you guys, and I'll tell you guys a wonderful good night. Those of you who have work in the morning, do reach to work safe. Those of you who have other things to do, have a good day on Thursday. I will see some of you tomorrow again. If you don't pass back on the channel again, unfortunate, but thank you for spending time. Those of you who didn't really talk in chat, if you want to say a parting goodbye, that would be nice. Just to say goodbye when you're leaving. If you still don't want to talk, that's also cool. I appreciate you just sitting and listening to what I had to offer. You guys are awesome. Love you. I am out. Thank you for listening to what I have to say. I appreciate you guys. I am looking to head out. Good night, everybody. Guys, have a blessed sleep.
When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can build, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who can lead properly, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Vote for peace. Vote for love. Vote for hope. Vote for change. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can restore hope, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who lead with love, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Vote for peace. Vote for love. Vote for hope. Vote for change. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinidad wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. On election day, vote UNC. team, one hope, one dream. On election day,